Welcome in TNCRadio.live. We are live on a Wednesday night, May the 10th, 2023, and this is Keep On Talking. And now here's your host, Christine Gray, along with some other guy.
Mr. Kirk. That's who that is.
Miss Gray, I wonder who I am too. You know, for a while, this was my show, and then we got somebody who is prettier than me, smarter than me, more intelligent than me, and now it's her show. So I'll just sit back here and relax.
Yeah, well, you know, I think it just has to do with, you know, you guys being generous enough to keep my mind busy. I figured it had to be that undiagnosed ADHD, so that I'm not sitting at home bored. After all, you know, being forced out of a truck makes you think a lot. We thought sitting behind, you know, we thought that, you know, we thought sitting behind the wheel made you think, oh, no. You get behind a desk, or you get home, and all of a sudden, you know, you're like, all the things that you've thought about for 25 plus years comes to a head. What should I have done? What could I have done? So I'm looking forward to tonight's show.
And I think tonight's show, and that is so true. And what tonight's show, I think, is going to be one of those shows that hits home to a lot of drivers. I know when I posted it earlier today, when I was at work, I looked at it, and just the fact that drivers were already talking about the topic, which is there life after trucking, and what is it going to look like? Because some people are able to leave voluntarily and on their terms, and other people have basically the doctor looks at them and says, you're done. Maybe it's for med card reasons, or maybe it's like, if you keep on driving, you won't be driving much longer because, you know, trucking is going to kill you, or sometime, or in some way just dramatically impact the quality of life, so you're not able to do what you love anymore. And after, you know, I'm the youngin' here tonight with only 17 years of driving truck. You know, Christine, Jerry, we got Robert Green on the line tonight, Bruce. They all have quite a few more years than me. But that question is I think I mentioned crew chief, but we got him on. And the thing is, what does it look like when you step out of the truck and move away from trucking? And that's kind of what we're talking about. What's the adjustment like? How do you handle it? How do you go from being on the go, constantly thinking, working, you know, being around a variety of people, to, well, basically being trapped within four walls and seeing the same faces after a time? How do you handle that adjustment? Is it an adjustment you're happy to make, or is it one that you're struggling with? And we want to hear from you. 706-862-8620. Once again, our phone lines are open. We still got plenty of room for you, and a lot of great things to start off with. And this is a topic that a bunch of us have been talking about off and on for a while. As some of you know, I decided back in November, I had an opportunity in the office where it just made sense for me to come out of the road or come off the road and into the office. And I was kind of fortunate. I could do it on my terms. The company that I was working with really gave me an offer where I would have been foolish to refuse. But we've got some other people who are on here tonight. And Christine, I'm going to kind of kick it to you first. You know, your situation where you got brought off the road really wasn't by your choice. You had plans to go at least, I think, another 5 years or so. But your doctor, I think, had some different plans for you.
You know, you're right. This is actually the second time. But this time, and it was Idella Idella Hansen, who had reminded me that this is the second time. I was in a lot of pain and didn't realize just how much pain, how much you're in until they take it away. And it started about a year and 2 months ago. And I go to the chiropractor thinking, all right, I'm going to get an adjustment and take the pain away, right? And the chiropractor says, you're in too much pain. I need to send you in for a set of x-rays. And when you're done, I need you to bring a copy of the disc back. So let's go in and take a look. Okay. I bring it back and he says, honestly, one, I can't adjust you. Two, when we need an MRI to see how much damage is actually there. This right here is where you actually broke your back between 20 and 30 years ago. And I had no idea. And all of these things just it was like a domino effect. And he's like, between therapy and the chiropractor and my GP and pain management, giving shots in the back for over a year. And then finally the neurosurgeon, all 5 of them say, you're done. That's it. There's no more. If they've given me a 5-year span after the surgery before they're going to cage my spine. 2 metal rods, and then these really funky looking hooks that go in so that they can keep me out of a wheelchair. I had no idea that my back was that bad. We're so used to ignoring the pain to get the job done and ignoring our own health that we just don't pay attention. We blow it off. That's just what we do. And yes, that was the end. I got my final diagnosis last Monday. He said, that's it. You're done. No more. So I'm like scrambling. Mr. Kelly and you were nice enough to put me on the radio. Let me get a taste of that so that you can keep my mind busy. And since then, I have got 7 websites that came online. The first one's today, the next within the next week and a half, so that I can keep going because my brain won't shut off. All the things that, we think about while we're on the road have come to light. We can now go ahead and bring them up. Let's get it done because we can't sit still. I'm not one for disability. I'm not one to stop working. I just can't sit still. Not in my DNA. And I think the hardest part is because, yes, so on May 6th, I celebrated my 28th year in the trucking industry. But I'm done, unfortunately for me. But I want to stay in the industry or somewhere around in it. But there's other things that I've always wanted to pursue. So forced out, yes, absolutely. Otherwise, I won't walk. I won't be able to.
And that's, I think, a tough reality for any person to face in here. And I know we've got other people in here who've been faced with some of this. And we've got some other people we're going to come to tonight who have been able to leave more on their terms and are looking on, forwards to some things that they've always been wanting to do. But one of the people, he's on the phone tonight, who his story kind of reminded me when I had this opportunity. It was probably time to get out of the truck and get out of the truck while the getting good is my good friend, Robert. Hey, Robert, how are you doing tonight?
I'm alive.
And so
beats the alternative.
It sure does. And the thing is, for years, you've always told me, I said, well, I woke up breathing and hurting, so today's going to be a good day. And I've found over the last 6 months, I'm starting to use that more and more, because I'm starting to realize how much truth there is in that. When you wake up and you're breathing and you're hurting, at least it means you can go out and do something and be productive and try to be positive in some way to somebody out there. And, I don't know how much of your story you want to share tonight, but why don't you just, share what you're comfortable with about what's going on and, what has caused you to change your outlook a little bit on trucking and maybe rearrange some priorities.
Well, okay. The wreck that I had 3 years ago, it messed me up pretty good. Messed my arm up. And, a family doctor just, hey, while we got you in here, let's do some blood work. And he did some blood work. He said, I don't like the way this looks. Let's send you to an oncologist. Ooh, I don't like this. Let's treat this. I come to find out, and I thought I was doing good. I was like every other driver on the planet. Hey, look, I'm fat, and I got a 2-year card. And you say it can't be done. Well, I did that one too many times, and come to find out I have 2 forms of leukemia. One's myeloid leukemia, and one is a lymphoma leukemia. And they basically, he said, I'm going to treat you. He said, if we can get your numbers down below a certain number, you can go back to drive. Okay, cool. Well, to steal your phrase, Tom, a long story short, I got paperwork today stating the numbers, instead of them being where they were, they're 18 times higher than they was. So that pretty much wipes me out of driving altogether, because it's a form of leukemia that they can't cure. They can manage it, they can treat it, but it will progressively get worse. So, one of the big things I would tell these young guys that are out here, that you hear them say all the time, sitting around, oh, I want to be old school. No, you don't.
No.
Because you're going to abuse your body, and you're going to tear your body up. And one day you're going to wake up and go, oh, crap, what do I do now?
Yep.
And that's a really good question. And we're going to get more into that after the break, because we need to take a break here. But we're going to be back with more of the conversation. Is there life after trucking? What does it look like? How do we deal with it? And, how can you do it on your terms rather than the doctor's terms? So we'll be back with more right after this. Keep your ears on. And actually, it looks like we actually have another minute longer than I thought we did. I'm going to apologize on that one, everybody, because I've looked at the timer wrong.
Turn your map over.
Pain is your friend, your ally. It will tell you when you are seriously injured. It will keep you awake and angry and remind you to finish the job and get the hell home. But the best thing about pain? Oh, no! It lets you know you're not dead yet.
You're listening to TNCRadio.live. Remember to tune into the Truckers Network Show with Shelley Johnson. Weekdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern.
This blog on TNCRadio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. Quick and healthy meals for truckers. Life on the road can make it challenging for truckers to find a healthy meal. Truckers are on the go and sometimes on a strict time frame to get their loads delivered on time. Stopping at a truck stop for fast food sounds like the most convenient option. Although it may be more convenient, eating unhealthy gas station food can take a toll on one's health. Plus, it can be more expensive. Stopping at a grocery store and picking up healthy foods can benefit truckers in many ways. Eating healthy improves mood, health, and well-being. Consider investing in appliances like a cooler, slow cooker, lunchbox, or a microwave. This will make eating healthy on the road much easier. Breakfast. The most important meal of the day, especially for truckers. Eating a good breakfast helps keep your energy up. Oatmeal is a quick and easy healthy breakfast. You can make it in under 3 minutes, and it's easy to store in your cabin. Tip: adding some fresh fruits and nuts in your oatmeal can make it even more delicious. Yogurt makes a great breakfast. It's high in protein and can keep you full for a long time. Try adding some fruits, nuts, and honey. Toast and peanut butter. You'll need a toaster or a toaster oven for this one. Peanut butter contains high levels of protein, fiber, and healthy fats. It also gives you endless energy. Protein bars are the quickest breakfast option. It's safe to eat while driving. If you're in a hurry, protein bars will make a great breakfast. Lunch. It can be very tempting to pull over and stop at your favorite restaurant. Lunchtime's a great opportunity to make healthier choices. Some favorite healthy lunch meals are the bento box lunch with loads of healthy, clean foods. It's quick and easy, too. Burrito bowls are full of fresh veggies and just take 10 minutes to make. Ham sandwich, a classic, easy lunch. Chicken salad takes about 30 minutes to prepare, but it's well worth it. Serve it on lettuce or any type of bread you like. Dinner? This is where a slow cooker will definitely come in handy. Honey garlic chicken and veggies is the easiest one-pot recipe ever. Hardly takes any effort at all. Beef stew makes a great dinner. You can enjoy it all year round. Whole roasted chicken in your slow cooker's a recipe every trucker should try. It's delicious and can keep you fed for a couple of days. Ground beef and potatoes are amazing and will only take you about 15 minutes to prepare. This blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. Hello, I'm Ron Samuels. I put it in reverse gear here Monday through Thursday nights at 10, 9 Central on tncradio.live. Do you believe in the power of prayer? Whether you're moving down the highway or taking a break, now's a good time to take a moment to tell God your hopes, concerns, and gratitude. You want someone to pray with? No problem. Just call the TFC Global 24-Hour Prayer Line. It's 866-515-9406. By the way, if you're using the tncradio.live app, just press the prayer line button to be connected to a prayer warrior who will confidentially pray with and for you. The number again, 866-515-9406, or tap the prayer line button at the tncradio.live app.
Welcome back in TNCRadio.live. This is Keep On Talking. Here are Tom and Christine.
Thank you very much, Tom Kelly. It is great to be back with you here on a Wednesday evening, as we do each and every week, around the counter of knowledge, exchanging thoughts and ideas like we used to do back in the pandemic at the truck stops, but now we do it each week here on TNCRadio.live. You can still join the conversation, 706-862-8620. We've got Chris with us, Bruce, the incredible Robert Green, the legendary Jerry Fritz, and even this guy from Ohio called Crew Chief, which we'll get to here in a little bit. It's actually great to have you back with us there, Crew Chief, as well. But Bruce, before the break, you were talking a little bit about how your wife, or actually, during the break, has been through something similar too, where basically the doctor said, this is the terms that you're going to have to change your life on. And it wasn't necessarily what she had intended. So why don't you share a little bit of that story, please?
Back when my wife and I first met, she fell and hurt her back. And went to workman's comp doctors and this and that. And the whole 9 yards. One doctor wanted to do surgery, one doctor didn't. So basically her choice was, we're moving to Virginia, find a job where it takes pre-existing conditions. That's what she did. She drove a school bus. She loved it. 5 years. She was on medication, but she always got her DOT physical every 2 years. She went to her doctor. They never said nothing. And then the 5th year came around, and they said, we want you to go see our doctor. Their doctor wouldn't pass her because of the medication she was on. And the reason they did it, they let her go 5 years. She at least got vested, and she was collecting a disability retirement. She was able to retire with 5 years. That part did help us because she carries her own insurance. But she was, she was bummed out for a long time because that's something just like us. This is what we love to do.
That's what we do. It's the only
this
thing
is our
we know.
livelihood.
Yep.
And just to take it away from her was like, pulling the rug out from underneath her feet.
And there's so much truth in that. I mean, Bill Weaver, I think, sums it up best, and it could be said about bus drivers and a whole bunch of other things. It's the only thing we know, doing what we love to do. That's why we truck.
Yeah.
And there is so much truth to that is why we truck. Chris, let's go to you for a little bit because you don't call in here too often. I know this is one of I think your first or second time calling in, and we're grateful for you calling in tonight. What are some of your thoughts on this? Are you looking at maybe the other side of where you're starting to look towards retirement, or are you making some changes maybe to move to that? Or you still got quite a few years left, before that's really even something that's crossing your mind?
Well, it's funny you should ask because right now I'm door dashing. And it's, last August, my brother died suddenly of a heart attack. And this year, my blood pressure just went through the roof, like just instantaneously, just for no conceivable reason whatsoever. And it was at the time that where I had to get my medical card renewed. And so rather than go get shot down by a doctor, I just decided I was going to DoorDash instead. So that's what I'm doing right now. I've got it under control now, but it's very difficult. Life after trucking is, when you're thrown out of the truck, when it's not on your own terms, people might think, well, it's scary, and yeah, they've got every reason to think that, because it is. You're not going to be making the big boy money that you're used to making. No matter how much you complain about truck driving, they throw money at you compared to other industries that don't give you hardly any money at all. You don't get detention pay or anything like that with door dashing or anything like that. So you have to hustle more. You have to hustle harder. You're an instant owner operator because it's your car. And there's money to be made if you sit down and think about it and go to the right places. And if you live in a small town, you're going to starve to death, so you got to go to the bigger city. But the advice that I would give to people is to take care of yourself, for one thing. I mean, for real, because like I heard earlier, you got people say, well, I want to be old school. No, you don't. You really don't want to be old school because you're going to wind up getting disqualified by a doctor if you're old school. You want to take care of yourself, and for one thing, and for another thing, you always want to have your financials set up in such a way that it could happen. Like if it happened at any time, you would be ready to make a lesser amount, because that's really what you have to do, is plan for making a lesser amount so you can get by on that. Because if you don't, you're going to be overwhelmed. You really will be.
I have a question for the group, and I don't normally throw these out, but so for those of us who have walked away and it's not been voluntary, it's been involuntary, how many of you have gone through any form of depression that was, a medical requirement, for you to be either medicated or seek therapy, to talk it out and try to recover from that, just out of curiosity? Because, it affects us so severely sometimes that we do have a hard time. Or is it that stigmata that we don't need that because that is old school? We don't need that.
Well, I'll tell you what, just for me, and I'm just going to jump in super quick and then shut up because I know there's other people. For me, it was like jumping out of the airplane and sewing the parachute together as I was free falling. So I didn't have necessarily time to be depressed per se because I was so busy trying to hustle. But if you don't have, like a DoorDash or Instacart or something to fall back on, I could easily see where that would be a thing that you would have to deal with.
Yeah. Just
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a personal experience with the depression thing.
Yes.
About 13, 14 years ago, and it really surprised me because I'm a person that depression isn't even in my thinking process. I've always been an overcomer. At the time I was 5 years old, broke a leg, crawled home, had fingers cut off, 15 years old, nothing. I've always overcome, found a way, but always come back. Well, about 2008 or so, I had an injury that they just weren't figuring out. It did take me off the road. I was about 60 years old. And I'm also, wife and I, over the years, we've been married over 50 years. I said years ago, we have a problem, let's go for some counseling. Get an outside opinion. So we did. We already had an introduction to counseling. So I found a lady counselor, and I believe in hypnotherapy at some point too. But we didn't really use that part of it. But I'm going to throw out a term here I didn't buy into right away. Because I didn't want to be weak.
Right.
And she brought up with the fact that due to I was probably at the end of my career then, that I was grieving the loss of kind of my identity.
Right.
Well, I thought that sounded
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that sounded too weak, new nanny type thing. But it got worse. The next thing you know, I'm in group counseling. And I refused all their damn medications. Because if there is a problem, I want to solve the problem. I don't want to just dope it up.
Right.
Well, during that period of time, I'll move this along. And she had proposed to me this the second day. And we started building on it, but still I ended up in group counseling. Was volunteering. Is one of the reasons why I became one of T.A. Petro's citizen drivers, really. So volunteering, okay, I was in Boy Scouts when I was younger. I got that side to me, okay. And got involved with American Red Cross. This day, as far as a value of life experience goes, not a speech. I used to get to go be invited to go around town, give this speech, Rewards of Volunteering. That was the greatest, to this day, the greatest, I don't want to use the word emotional, but non-work type experience. And one of the things I learned in there was when you're trying to solve other people's problems, guess what you're not doing?
Thinking about your own.
Thinking about your own.
Of your own, yeah.
Well, after the first year, I became the new volunteer of the year at American Red Cross here in this region.
Nice, Jared.
And then when I began to feel the results, the rewards of that.
Hey, Jerry, can I hold you on for a second? We need to take a break. And then we'll get back to that story. I really would like to hear the end of that.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. So, if you don't mind.
All right.
We'll be right back after this. Keep your ears on.
I'm Shelley Johnson with Kathy Tuccaro. You can hear us Tuesdays on TNCRadio.live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Women Road Warriors. And don't miss Steve Summers' Overnight Drive right here on TNCRadio.live, weeknights midnight to 5 a.m. Eastern. Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
The late, great Mark Twain once said, "Quitting smoking is easy. I've done it hundreds of times." Well, there are many behaviors that people try to quit. They try to change, and they end up reverting back to that same old self-destructive behavior. That's not just about smoking and drinking. That's even about leaving an abusive partner in a domestic violence situation. Sometimes people have to leave 7 and 8 times before they leave for good. You know, earlier in my career, when someone wanted to quit smoking, I would make sure that they were totally committed in every possible way because I didn't want them to fail. Because in my mind, if they failed, they would associate quitting with failing, and then they wouldn't try anymore. But I was wrong. According to the research, we are to encourage people, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, because one of these times, we're going to quit for good.
Catch Mind Your Trucking Business Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern with James Rogers, Jamie Irvine, and Tom Kelly. They provide expert advice about starting, operating, and growing a professional trucking business. It's Mind Your Trucking Business on tncradio.live.
Welcome back in TNCRadio.live, live on a Wednesday night, May the 10th, 2023. This is Keep On Talking, and here are your hosts, Tom and Christine.
I think, I'm going to take over for Tommy this time, because I would really like to hear Jerry's conversation. We were talking about, forms of depression, as in, is there life after driving? So, if you don't mind, Jerry, could you please finish that conversation?
Yeah, and let me throw this out here, because a lot of people wouldn't admit this, but that's okay. I'm not afraid to confront. I had gotten, why I went for group counseling, I'd gotten suicidal. Yeah. Tough, rough, nothing ever gets anybody down, Jerry Fritz. Yep. My little sister picked up on it, by the way. But anyway, from there, that was so exciting, and all the things I was doing at Red Cross, a lot of variety and this, that, and the other thing. I went back to, became a unit commissioner, Boy Scouts of America. That used up a night or two a week. Down at the church, I was chosen to participate in helping people through what we call the career transition group. And that was, during some of the bad times, I'd worked in it before, people unemployed, transferable skills. I'm very familiar with a lot of this. I got involved in that. And at some point, people were saying to my wife, do you ever see him? And she said, when he was on the road, he was gone a month or two at a time. She said, I think I saw him more when he was on the road than when he was at home, because I was really living life differently. And it was really exciting.
Well, that's not good.
And forgot all about the depression. In the meantime, to make this quicker, go back to someone's point earlier. This is kind of a lifetime attitude, I think.
Yeah, we're losing Jerry.
Being prepared to make job changes and pay reductions. I tell young people, stay away from those damn credit cards. Learn to live within your means. Most of them don't know that actually simply means spend less than you earn. Things happen in life. But if you end up already too far in debt, and you're going down the tubes and you're already working, your change is more likely to be some type of catastrophe. So all through life, make sure you live within your means. And I'm kind of an odd person. I believe in living life a little bit defensively and offensively. But defensively means make sure you got your money right. You spend less than you earn. And by the way, that's a decision you have to make almost every single day. So when the transition time comes, you have the resources. Number one, you may have a savings account instead of the bill collector already chasing you. So that's an important view all through your life. And you don't know the healthiest people out here. The lady up the street here, 20 years as a nurse, only 40-something years old, 1 block from the house, killed in the intersection. Her life was over. There are others seriously injured. So there's a lot of that goes on too. So I like that kind of don't dig your holes so deep that you're already buried by the time something happens. So career transitions happen. be prepared for the rainy day in life.
Yep.
And that's not something that just happens to you. That is a constant, everyday decision.
And there's so much truth to that on so many levels. I mean, as truck drivers, we all hear about trip planning all day. I don't think there's a single driver that's on this call tonight. And I'll even throw Tom Kelly on here because I know how he plans for his various road trips. We wouldn't even think about putting the car, the truck in gear, even to go on vacation to the grocery store, let alone a cross-country trip, without having a good idea of this is where we're going to stop or roughly what time, having a plan, a rough, if not an exact plan. Yet we kind of go through life without having a budget, without just thinking about life insurance, without thinking about all these other things that can make a difference if something goes wrong. And those are things that are important. Those are things that matters. And actually, Jeff, I think this is a great time to kick it over to you for a moment. You're probably one of the few people here tonight who have left completely on your terms because you hung the keys up and you're retired. Are you really retired, or did your wife give you a honey-do list?
You talking to me?
Crew chief.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, my wife still has 6 more years to go. I'm 68 years old, retired from the Air Force as well. And like everybody else has been talking about, I kind of got to the point where, annual DOT physical instead of the 2 years. And this hurts and that hurts. And I thought, it needs to be on my terms instead of me all of a sudden hurt myself beyond where I really can't do well. So, yes. Luckily, we had our ducks lined up financially, so I went ahead and said, that's it. And just like Jerry was talking about, as I go through some physical therapy for a rotator cuff, I'm looking forward to giving back. I belong to our VFW post and would like to do other things volunteering around the local area here as well.
And that's great. And actually,
I'm enjoying it.
And I'm glad you're enjoying. I'm glad you're able to leave on your terms. I know in my case, I've kind of left on my terms because I had a job opportunity, but talk about stress. I had 30 days to basically find an apartment, buy a car. It felt like I was going out on my own for the first time again, after leaving my parents, going to college, going after college, the nerves that I had the day I went and signed, the loan for my car, I honestly felt like I was 18, 19 again, because it's something I haven't had to do in over 17 years. There was a lot of new feelings and a lot of stress there, and it's stuff that we're going with. But I think that this dovetails great into some stuff that both Jerry and Christine were saying is depression is real. Whether you leave planned or unplanned, stress, depression, whether it's feeling blue or full-blown depression, are real things out there. And there are some great resources out there for help. Just for motivation here on Monday nights on TNC Radio, we got great programming with Dr. Christopher Kortman with TFC Global. And that starts at 7 o'clock Central all the way up through the 9 o'clock hour. So we've got great programming there that can help give you some motivation and inspiration on that. But there's also a bunch of great resources out there where if you do need help, if you are thinking, and the thing is, from my experience and some conversations I've had with drivers, whether it's been in retirement or whether it's been when we're out on the road, any driver who hasn't said they've at least thought about suicide at some point in their career probably hasn't been driving over 3 years, to be perfectly honest, because of the stress and everything out there. You'll get off that phone call where you're going, well, I wonder what would happen if I just didn't take this curve going through these mountains, if I just drove straight. Would I really mess? And it may be just a fleeting thought like that, or it may be something that is much longer lasting and is much more serious. And there are some great resources out there. Tom Kelly, I'm going to kick it to you because I know you know some of these numbers off the top of your head. If somebody's out there suffering depression and needs some help, what are some of the resources out there that are readily available?
Well, yeah, there are a lot of different things out there, Tom. This is May is Suicide Prevention Month and Mental Health Awareness Month, and so there are a lot of different things available to you. Most importantly, if you find yourself in a moment of crisis, now the suicide prevention line, which, by the way, is also the VA helpline for somebody who's in crisis, is now 988. Just like you call 911, you can call 988, and somebody will be there who's local to wherever you are at the time and can direct you to a safe place if that's what you need, or can help you talk through an emergency situation, that kind of stuff. And then even on the tncradio.live app, we have helplines available now. You can call and have somebody pray with you and pray for you, or if you just want to talk to another driver and just kind of get it all out there one night. You're just having a rough time, and you don't need, you're saying, I don't need to go to the hospital. I just need to talk to somebody. Somebody who, my wife doesn't get it, my husband doesn't get it. Somebody needs to understand what I'm going through. I want to talk to them. And so we've got that number available to you. And so, there's different resources that are available, and we try to make those as common and as easy to find as possible. And if you call that second number 2, they have other numbers. So if you were to say, hey, actually they'll help you on 988 as well. If you were to call one of those numbers and say, hey, I'm desperately in a bad financial situation, I need some help with somebody who can help me talk through that, they'll get you the right resource. So 988 and the tncradio.live app are a couple of places where you can start.
And thank you very much, Tom. And first of all, to all the volunteers or even paid staff that work with these various numbers and organizations, a special heartfelt thanks goes out to you. And I also want to thank you, Tom, for all the work you do behind the scenes. People don't realize how much Tom cares for drivers and how much he cares about mental health and all the different things he's doing to try to help support drivers there. And he really doesn't get much credit for it. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of all drivers out there, Tom. Well, we need to take a quick break. We're going to be back to wrap the show up here in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. Keep those ears on.
Hello, I'm Rod Samuels. I put it in reverse gear Monday through Thursday nights at 10, 9 Central on tncradio.live. We know that life as a driver is not easy. Between four-wheelers and Mother Nature, sometimes life throws us curves like no one else. Quite often we need help from the good Lord just to make it through the day. When you do, dial the TFC Global 24-Hour Prayer Line. It's 866-515-9406. Now, if you're using the TNCradio.live app, just press the prayer line button to be connected with a prayer warrior who'll confidentially pray with and for you. The number again, 866-515-9406, or tap the prayer line button at the TNCradio.live app. This blog is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 5 awesome tips for finding safe overnight truck parking. Truck drivers face many challenges in their career, and finding safe overnight truck parking is one of those challenges. After the tragic murder of truck driver Jason Rivenberg, Jason's Law went into effect to help protect the thousands of truck drivers who need to find safe overnight parking. Although Jason's Law was put into place to help drivers, safe truck parking continues to be an issue for truck drivers across America. We've put together a list of tips that'll help you make the process of finding safe overnight parking easier for you. Plan your trip. Pre-planning your trip is something every truck driver should consider doing. Not only does it allow you to map out your overnight parking, but it allows you to map out where you can get fuel and food. Before you hit the road, take a look at your route. Avoid scheduling truck parking in high-crime cities or congested areas. Pro tip. Download the app Truck Park. With over 200 secure locations, the Truck Park app allows drivers to schedule their overnight parking in advance, so drivers don't have to worry about driving around to find a parking spot. Not only is it a relief to have your parking spot booked, but it's also more productive with HOS. Also, if you're a member of the Truckers Network, drivers get instant access to a 15% off promo code to use when booking a parking spot with TruckSpot. You can sign up for just $5 a month. Park early. If you don't choose to reserve your parking spot through Truck Park, we suggest parking early. The majority of safe parking spots will fill up quickly before it gets dark. If you can, start driving early in the morning so that when it's time to quit driving for the day, you won't find yourself fighting for a parking space. Park in a well-lit area. Walmart parking lots are an extremely popular location for overnight parking. Why? Because they're well-lit areas. When planning your trip, it may be difficult to know whether they have well-lit parking available. If you find yourself in a situation where you don't feel safe, talk to your dispatcher. They might be able to help you find secure truck parking. Lock it up. It may seem like a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised as to how many truck drivers forget to lock up their truck and trailer for the night. So before you go to sleep for the night, make sure to lock everything. Insert a dash cam. Dash cams are a great way to provide evidence if your truck was in an accident or vandalized. It's always refreshing to know that you have an extra set of eyes on your truck. This blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Truckers Life Radio from TFC Global with your host, Ron Frazier, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. On the show, Ron interviews guests to help inform professional drivers just like you about the importance of things like human trafficking to sex addiction to how to overcome the impossible odds on the way to success. Every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
And welcome back in TNCRadio.live Wednesday night. We're live. This is Keep On Talking Live with Tom Kirk and Christine Gray. One more thing I wanted to mention to you, Tom, before I turn the mic back over to you, is we now have a new group and a new show that started up last week, since y'all were on last. And it's called In for the Long Haul, and it's actually from Truckers' Wives. And they've started a new group called 32 Drivers a Day. 32 Truckers a Day, 32 Truckers a Day. That is the number of truckers a day who commit suicide. It's 32.
Wow.
I've tried very hard to disprove that number because I wanted that number to be much lower than that. I said that has to be wrong, has to be a smaller number than that. But I've been unable to prove them wrong. So, their whole existence is about empowering drivers and helping drivers understand their worth and the importance of having good and appropriate mental health. So be looking for their program. It is now on Thursdays at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. And again, the name of the program is In for the Long Haul, and the group is 32. I'm sorry, Angie, is it 32 drivers or 32 truckers a day? I'm having a mental block.
32 truckers a day.
That's what I thought, 32 truckers a day. So Angie Baum, whose show comes on right after this one, is also part of that group as well. So we're happy to welcome them in. And that they are part of our TNCRadio.live family now. And, it's not that they sit around talking about mental health all the time. We have a lot of fun. This past Friday, played trivia with truckers from all over the nation. That was a blast, and we're going to be doing that again this Friday. And so we have a lot of fun, but at the same time, have some frank and straightforward conversation. This is not an easy life. It's a wonderful life, but it's not an easy life. And it turns out as you get older, you finally figure out the real truth of it is that nobody did promise you a rose garden. Anybody, whether you're a trucker or a CEO or the janitor or whatever your job is, nobody promised you a rose garden, and we're all going to face tough stuff. And that's kind of the whole secret is you got to kind of figure out, okay, so this is the way life is. How am I going to handle that?
And that's so true, Tom. And whether we've intended to tonight, we've went down a bunch of different roads. We were starting to talk about life after driving, and is there it? And I think the answer it is. And I think the answer is life is what you make it. It could be good, it could be bad, but you have to find something that's meaningful for you, whether it's spending time with your family, whether it's doing, getting into new projects and activities like Christine has, whether it's a new career, something like Chris and myself has, or just treasuring the moment you have with your family like Robert and Jerry and some of the others, and really all of us. But you have to find out what works. But this also seems to be the episode where, we keep referencing songs, whether we intend to or not. And I'm going to do one more. If tomorrow never comes, you've got to remember, whether you're a driver, whether anybody out there, you are not guaranteed tomorrow. There's no guarantee out there. And the only thing you can do is live life now, but you can do some things to prepare tomorrow and make some plans. But you can't guarantee that those retirement plans that you wanted to do with your wife or your loved ones to travel around the country and do this are going to happen. So take opportunities now. Take advantage of things, even if it's something small or simple. Let those people know you out there. Find those very close drivers. And I've got several of them who I'm very blessed to call friends and brothers and sisters who are on the show tonight, who have helped me through some very rough times. And I hope I've been able to help them and some other people in my life as well. But that's what the Brotherhood of Trucking is about. That's what groups like TFC Global, TNC Radio, and 32 Truckers for a Day, we try to give that support and platform out there. So this has maybe ended up in a little bit different direction than I planned closing the show tonight. But just remember to shake a stranger's hand. You might make a new friend, and you might just, make a difference in somebody's life. We've got lots more great programs coming up here today on TNC Radio. Coming up next is Larry and Angie Baum with Taillights. They've got great guests each week where they share stories and tales from the road. Then after that is the only sports show geared to truck drivers with Anderson and Banker and Clutch Time Sports. So we hope to tune in on that tonight. There's always great programming here on TNC Radio tonight, live. I want to thank Robert Green, Chris Cox, Bruce, Jerry Fritz, and crew chief, good old Jeff Tingle, for calling in tonight. It was always great having you on each and every night, gentlemen. And of course, I can never forget Christine Gray. But thank you so much for joining us. It really is appreciated. You're the guys that make these shows. So, Christine, I'm going to give you a chance here. Any closing thoughts?
Yes. First of all, I want to thank everybody who joined in tonight and being so open and honest about how you feel. I think it makes a big difference to the younger generations who might not call in but do listen, and I know of quite a few. It does help. So thank you very much, and I appreciate it. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Christine.
See you on the radio next week, everybody. Take care. God bless.